Welcome to Mishna study with Masechet Demai Perek Gimel Mishna Vav. Over here, we're going to speak about a person who gives fruits to his mother-in-law. What's the law over here? Do we assume that what we gave her, she's giving us back in return, or do we worry that she may have swapped them out? Now over here, the swapping out is coming from a much different place. She's a mother-in-law, right? So if she's swapping it out, she may want you to have better food, right? Maybe it may have spoiled in her hand while it was by her. I don't want to give him, my son-in-law such a, a lousy meal. Let me give him something better. And again, it's coming from her now. So maybe you gave something that was me'usar, that you separate Trumot and Ma'asrot from, and maybe you're receiving something in return from her that may not be mitukan. Do you have to worry about that? That's what we're going to speak about in this Mishnah. Hanoten hamoto. מעשר את שהוא נותן לה ואת שהוא נותן ממנה, מפני שהיא חשודה לחלף את המתקלקל. אמר רבי יהודה, רוצה היא אישה בתקנת ביתה, ובושה מחתנה. ומודה רבי יהודה ונותן לחמותו שביעית, שאינה חשודה להאכיל את ביתה שביעית. So, if a person gives food to his mother-in-law, and what does he need to do? He needs to separate Trumot and Ma'asrot before he gives it to her, and what he takes back from her, because we worry that she may swap out the mitkalkil, right? Meaning what? If something becomes rotten, becomes old, she finds something better. She wants to give his his son-in-law something better to eat, so she's going to swap it out. Now, Rabbi Yehuda comes and explains. Rambam says, we know he's explaining. How do you know Rabbi Yehuda is explaining, right? We said this once before, and it's important. Klal to remember, Rambam is very consistent with this. Every time he says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, he's coming to explain. It's not a Rabbi Yehuda Omer. A lot of times you have a machloket. You have Rabbi Akiva Omer, so-and-so. Right, we're not having that. It's not Rabbi Yehuda Omer. That would be a machloket. We have over here is Amar Rabbi Yehuda. So he's coming to explain what we said earlier. Why? How so? Because a woman wants the takanat beta. Right, it should be beta over here. Should be a yod in here. Right, the tikkun. The house wants her daughter to feel comfortable. Right? She'll have a better home, right? Actually, bita, right? He wants his daughter to have a good home. That what? And doesn't want her to be embarrassed from the hatan. So therefore, she goes ahead and she swaps out to give something better for her daughter's house. So we worry that the mother-in-law may do this, and therefore that's the reason why anyone who gives his mother-in-law fruits needs to separate it when he gives it to her and when he takes it back. Now, Rabbi Yehuda, now at the end of the Mishnah, agrees, and who does he agree to? He'll have to explain in a second. Agrees when he gives his mother-in-law shvi'it, right? Shvi'it fruits. That's hamor. Everybody knows what shvi'it is, right? It's a sabbatical year fruits. You're not allowed to work the field. Any fruits that grow during that, you're a kadosh. You could eat it b'kedusha. Actually, this year is a Shvi'it year in Eretz Israel. You eat a b'kedusha, and there are laws that apply to it, right? So if he gives it Shvi'it, everyone knows it's Shvi'it. She's not going to go ahead and just give her daughter to eat Shvi'it fruits, shelo b'kedusha Shvi'it. It's not in the kedusha in an appropriate manner, right? So there, Rabbi Yehuda agrees. Meaning what? Rabbi Yehuda argues on what we said before, right? Rabbi Yosef said before, right? What did Rabbi Yosef say before? That we're not responsible for the ma'im. So Rabbi Yehuda argues at that point. We see over here, we are responsible for the ma'im, right? The same way he's worried about, actually, that was last Mishnah. Tanakama of last Mishnah argued on Rabbi Yosef, right? Rambam said that was Rabbi Yehuda, right? He argued on that point. We do care about people tricking, right? Therefore, we have over here that Rabbi Yehuda agrees to Rabbi Yosef when it comes to perot shvi'it. Meaning what? He's allowed to give his mother-in-law perot shvi'it. So his mother-in-law could go ahead and cook it for him. And we don't worry that she's going to go ahead and swap it out. Why? because according to the Rabbi Yehuda, even though anyway, no one would actually violate the laws of Shivit, according to the Rabbi Yehuda, right? Even though they may not be so careful with the laws of Ma'asrot, when it comes to Shivit, that's something that people, don't go ahead and violate. It's something that's hamur in the eyes of the people. And she's not going to give her family fruits of Shivit, right? That's not in the Kedusha of Shivit, right? Whatever she's given, she's going to return back, right? So when we say Rabbi Yehuda agrees, right? He agrees to the opinion of Rabbi Yosef in last Mishnah, where we don't worry about people swapping, only when it comes to Shivit. But when it comes to Ma'asrot, we do worry about people swapping, like he mentioned in last Mishnah. Halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda in both of these statements, because Chachamim agree to him, right? What are both of these statements? Because the Chachamim agree to him. So first, our Mishnah, right? Because he's explaining, Hanabam said, Rabbi Yehuda here is explaining the words of Chachamim. He's explaining to Nakama, right? So that's one. And in last Mishnah, Rambam already said the person who argued on Rabbi Yosef was Rabbi Yehuda. So that is, that's the majority opinion. It's presented as the anonymous opinion. That's the opinion of Hachamim that everyone agrees to.